What is up, team? Welcome back to another video. Whew. I am finally getting over what was a huge weekend drifting. It was freaking insane, and I always get a bit of a drift hangover, so it's taking me a bit of time to recover, and also obviously the broken finger and stuff like that. But we're coming good, fingers on the mend, and generally we're feeling good. I'm in the fever right now. I've just been to the clutch shop finally, and in the back there's a stack of boxes. Every single car that I own at the moment, I kid you not, literally every car needs a new clutch. The 280ZX needs a new clutch. The E36 needs a new clutch, which I have. I have clutches for both of those ready to go in. The Civic needs a new clutch. This Fivo needs a new clutch, and my Navara needs a new clutch. It is freaking mental. So I'm juggling all that stuff all at once. So a lot of clutch swap jobs to be done in the near future. But this one is an exciting one because right there in that purple box is a clutch for this car, the Fivo. Now we're not doing that swap in this video. Oh yeah, that's nice. That's real nice. We are, however, going to be doing that swap this weekend. Oh my god, I'm so excited. But that also entails us going to the wreckers and grabbing the new gearbox, because I'm doing the gearbox swap and the clutch swap at the same time in this car. So that's what you have to look forward to this weekend. Today, however, we are not doing that. Today we are working on the drift kart. So in the first episode we just made sure it ran, painted it, and got it ready to take away to the drifts. In this episode, we're gonna make sure the thing actually drifts. I've got my GoPro, I've gone out and bought a couple of things for the kart, and I'm so freaking excited to get to work on this thing, because you can't call it a drift kart if it doesn't drift. By the way, this V energy drink is so freaking delicious. Watermelon and pineapple. Yummy, 0 calories, 0 sugar. Absolutely love it. This is where I get my motivation from. You. Cars. The E36 took a freaking beating at the last event, as you guys saw. But it's actually not as bad as you would think. We're running the Mad Stance Boy camber here on this side because of the LCA that we had to build at the track, which is freaking nuts. Shout out my team, those guys are awesome. But overall, the car's actually looking pretty, in pretty good shape considering. So I just have to fix that corner. Kaz has already sent me out a new LCA, it's on the way. And this thing's gonna be back to its beautiful self in no time. What a sick looking car. So here is our beautiful soon to be drift kart. Well, kind of beautiful, kind of not, looks like a nugget, but obviously, as you can see, I've been shopping on Facebook Marketplace. So I went on Marketplace, I actually bought a drift trike off a lady. She'd been planning on building it with her kids. They never got around to it, but it had some crucial parts that I needed. They were actually going to be a little bit harder than I thought to find. So these go-kart wheels are super crucial to the build of our drift kart. They're actually really expensive. So I bought the whole drift trike off her, and it had like a motor and stuff, but it was pretty dud, for $100, just so I could get these wheels. They came with the PVC, which is gangster. This seat, because we need a seat. And I also got a muffler and some other things with it as well, spare rear axle and stuff like that, which is awesome. But it's the wheels that's super important, because these go-kart wheels, clearly, look at that big boy dish, son. Yeah. But they have a spline here, so I was going to have to modify go-kart wheels to fit, but it just so happened that on the drift trike that I bought, it came with this rear axle. They had the exact same spline that we have on the rear of ours, which is freaking amazing. So that means these are going to fit on our drift kart, which is awesome, and allow us to have these with this smaller diameter PVC, which is really nice, because I tried this out, which was a subscriber actually bought these over for me without even asking if I needed them, which is amazing. So shout out, I can't remember his name, absolute legend for bringing them over. The diameter difference is pretty big. I did try these out, but they were just a little too big. It did drift, it did slide, but you want it to be a little bit smaller, a little bit easier to spin the wheels. So I am pumped on these. So these are going to go on the rear of it, but of course we need to mount a seat as well. So we're going to start cutting this frame up, and we're going to pretty much make it look completely different than what it looks now. And then another thing we need to do is we're going to change the lock setup on the front. So at the moment, she's pretty crap when it comes to lock, so that's as much lock as it's got. As you can see, leading wheel and trailing wheel is not the best when it comes to acumen. So angle of this wheel versus the angle of this wheel is quite different. So I'll see if we can sort that out. But also we're going to extend the LCAs, and we're going to change the pickup point of the tie rods so that we can get more lock out of it, which is hilarious but also exciting and going to be so fun. So yeah, first things first, I think what we're going to do is take the plastics off. We're not going to need those anymore. Start cutting up the frame. I'm also going to run 2 mufflers on this bad boy because these things are quite loud. And if we can get it to be a bit quieter, it's gonna work out pretty well for us in terms of our neighbours and being able to drift for hours on end. So first things first, let's get these plastics out the way and kind of see where our seat is going to kind of mount and what we're going to get up to. Hopefully we can take this thing for a bit of a drift today. Fingers crossed. So this is what we're working with. Look, exoskeleton, space frame. So what we're going to do is this is now null and void because we're going to have our seat somewhere kind of back here. Ooh, man, this is going to be so sick. So we're going to have to cut this off here and get rid of that. We're going to cut everything off the front here because it just looks all crappy. We don't need those brackets anymore. And then we're going to go ahead. I need to remove the springs because we're going to have this thing, this needs to be solid mounted, so we don't want any suspension in this thing whatsoever. The suspension is killing the ability for this to kind of drift, and the more suspension you have, the more it tries to grip up, and you want it to actually lose grip so that we can drift, so it has to be as stiff as possible. So of course, in true fashion, we're going to slam this thing as low to the ground as we possibly can have it, which is going to be rad. I'm also going to change these front tires out for some grippy boy go-kart wheels. I haven't purchased those yet, so that won't be in this video, but we're definitely doing that because we want this thing to look super gangster. And obviously once we're all finished with and happy with the way that this frame and stuff looks, I'll pull the whole thing down. I'm going to paint the frame super nicely, and then we'll put it all back together and have it look all nice and beautiful. I don't know what color we'll paint it yet. Feel free to throw me some suggestions in the comments below. But yeah, the aim is to have this thing looking just super cool. And of course we have to have a Weld the exhaust that comes out the bottom and the back instead of up top here, the way it is at the moment. So first things first, let's get chopping. As you can see, I've removed the suspension as well. So now I need to chuck some wheels on the back of it and sit it on the ground so we can set the height, because at the moment, obviously the chassis just kind of moves. So we need to set the height, and then we can tension the chain to make sure it's not too loose. We want this thing to be slammed to boogie, obviously. So chuck it on the ground, set the height, and then we're going to triangulate through here with some welds and some rods so that it's all nice and strong. And we're going to set where our seat's going to go. So yeah. Alright, so the vision is slowly starting to come together with how I thought this could look once we were finished with it. A lot of people doubted me and didn't see the vision. Well, a lot of my friends, not you guys, doubted me that they didn't really think that I could make this kind of look cool and actually work. But here is where we're at. So she's slammed now. No suspension whatsoever. As you can see up front, we've got a little bit of toe in that we're going to have to deal with, but that isn't an issue because what we're going to do is extend these front LCAs anyway, which I wanted to do. To give it more track width and help with the lock. So these wheels, basically once I've extended the LCAs, will be straight, but check out the camber gang we've got going on here, which is going to be sick. So I've slammed it to the absolute limit that I think will work. The exhaust is pretty damn low. I've got a hammer sitting under here at the moment, just setting the height of it. So I can go ahead, and basically what I'll do first is just weld these joints so it's set in the height. And then we'll go ahead and triangulate through here to give it the strength. so that when we chuck the seat on, it doesn't fold up and bend and break and all that jazz, although the welds on this China frame are questionable as it is. So anything we do, I'm sure we can do better than what they've done in their factory or sweatshop or whatever they've done. But this thing is already looking so damn cool. Like, these wheels make a massive difference on the back, and then like look at it, it just looks freaking dope. So hopefully we can make all this front end work and stuff like that. I'm pumped, it's gonna be so good. And I'm actually gonna use the old frame that we chopped off for the seat, but we'll do that soon. It's gonna sit somewhere around here nice and low, and then we can mount the seat to the frame. Again, we can triangulate through that, and it should be pretty freaking gangster. So So I've cut the mounts for the suspension, the LCAs, off the chassis, because what we're going to do is, these were like angled way down, so to extend them we're literally just going to angle them out, and that's going to extend the LCAs. They were right down, so it's already set at the height I want it set, the chassis. So basically I'm just going to set them up, tack them, double check them, and then once they're double checked, bloody hell, the finger's sore. I should probably be taking better care of it. Then I can tack them, weld them on. But the camber gang on the side is gonna be so good. Look at that camber, better than expected. And if you're wondering why there's a puddle on the floor, that is because I had a fire. Sparks and fuel from the carburetor, which I didn't even think about. And it caught on fire and I panicked, but I didn't get it on camera. But I put it out, so hopefully the thing still runs after this, because I think there were like rubber seals inside the carburetor. So yeah, whoopsies, but it is what it is. Oakley, bloody Doakley, you legends. So here's where we're at. Woo-wee. How's that? Got that camber gang swag going on. LCAs are welded, not completely, but just enough for it to kind of sit on the ground without flexing too much. But I think already we have a little bit more lock, which is nice. So that's rad. And what we're going to do to achieve more lock is where these hit right here, we're going to basically we can slot it out and just give them a little bit more room to create a little bit more lock on either side. And that's pretty much it to achieve the lock that we want to achieve. The LCAs are already now extended. It looks sick. And remember also, the go-kart wheels that we are going to get are going to be much wider with the grippy boy wheels up front. So they're going to look so good. But we're slammed out now, which is sick. And this thing is really coming together super nice. So now it's time to mount the seat. By the way, just quickly, the exhaust is going to be so cool. Full riser spec. Should sit somewhere under here like that and pop out the rear. Oh yeah, but we'll do that soon. But now we're going to mount the seat. So we're going to weld this bad boy on here. Right out the back, we want to get the seat as far back as possible so that the legs aren't too squished. And then we'll just sit the seat on and kind of see what's comfortable. Not sure if it's going to affect it too much if I'm like back past the rear wheels on the seat or not. So let's get this welded. Ew. Oh yes, that's what I'm talking about. Hell yeah. That's pretty much where the seating position is going to be. Just going to angle the seat back slightly. It's about there. Angle it back. Obviously we'll paint all this stuff up and make it look super nice. So next up, before we mount the seat properly, I'm actually going to weld the exhaust on. So I gave it a quick whack down with the flappy disc. I'm actually just going to spray the back of the exhaust silver, so it looks nice and not crappy sticking out the back. And then I'm gonna weld that on, weld a wee brace onto it. All right, we're on a little bit of a time crunch to get this done. I think it might be dark outside even, or it's getting dark outside, which is not good. But I've mounted the seat up quickly. I just temporarily mounted it up, but good enough so that we can take this thing for a jam. So last but not least, we need to get our beautiful JDM exhaust that we've sprayed, and we're gonna weld that. Boom. Under here, she's gonna stick out to the side. It's gonna be super cool. So I'm gonna get that done right now. Oof, suss that out. She is looking freaking good. How's the exhaust for you? So good. All right, so far so good. Unfortunately, it's nighttime and I don't want to film for you guys at nighttime testing this thing out. I did take it for a quick jam just then. I can tell you right now, this thing absolutely shreds. Unfortunately, I can't shred it properly until the morning, but that's all good. But for you guys, that'll be like 2 seconds because of YouTube magic. So we're gonna come back in the morning, we're gonna take this thing for a shred, make sure it is good to go, and then we can move on to the next phase of our beautiful drift kart. But as it sits, I'm freaking pumped, so I'll see you guys in the morning. Just gotta get some sleep, mate. I'm freaking tired. Bye. It's time to take this thing for a drive, and I brought my friend Dan along for the ride because I'm kind of biased. Obviously, I built this thing, so you don't get an honest review from me, but you can have an honest review from him. What do you think of it so far?
From when it came in to now, it's like had a big change. It definitely looks a lot cooler. It looks like it's going to be much more practical than
yeah, I know.
It was before.
It was so dodgy with the suspension before, eh? Look at this thing. It is so cool. I'm pumped on it, but the real test is taking it for a rip. So I'm gonna chuck a GoPro on it. We've got Dan here, he's gonna film, but we're both gonna have a rip on it. And hopefully, it's a bit wet out, which is a bit annoying because it is actually better on this thing to have the dry surface for the grip, but it is what it is. So it's gonna be a bit slippery out there, but we're gonna go for a wee drift. I'm so pumped.
Let's do it.
Shotgun first.
Okay.
We actually quickly just mounted up a GoPro on a rod and welded it to the frame. This is what we do for you guys so that we can get that footage, so. How good. Let's go ripping.
Let's go.
I'm gonna see these.
was sick.
How was?
So good.
It is. It's so slick out there with the mist coming down on the road, so it's like actually patchy. Not that we care that much. This is not professional drifting. This is a freaking drift kart. But that is so fun. This thing is absolutely epic. So my vision that I had at the start when we had that crappy quad is starting to come to life. I'm stoked on it. There's a couple of things I need to adjust, like the I think the front kind of bent in a little bit, so it's kind of cocking a wheel, but that's fine because I actually need to finish all the welds with this.
Constant Nico drop.
Yeah, constant Nico drop. Always. That's so sick though. Next step is finishing the welds. I'm going to pull the whole thing down and we're going to paint the frame. Maybe like sparkle pink or something, paint the seat. I've got,
these things.
Yeah, cut all the brackets off, and then we're gonna paint everything and make it look sick. But as it sits, like this thing is just a full-on like seat time go-kart ready to go.
I love it.
It's so good.
I'm not very good at that, but it's fun to drive.
Yeah, we also just need to notch out the front lock kit a little bit so that it just gets a little bit more lock. Man, and especially because we want to start throwing backies on it. It'd be so sick to throw backies.
Yep.
Yep. Hell yeah. So that's version 2 of the drift kart. Oh my god, so good. $250 is what we've spent so far on this. I'm gonna get the new go-kart wheels on the front. That's another $100. So about $350 deep. And we have a kart that you can literally drive endlessly. It's not using any of the PVC either, so this I mean, these are, you could have this thing for like weeks and weeks and weeks, just absolutely thrashing it, and you still wouldn't go through one of these PVC wheels. So it's just so good. The perfect wee seat time car. And now all I need to do is encourage someone else to get another one, maybe, and then we can do tandems on them. But and I did have the idea also of maybe running a mini competition out here on like a Sunday when there's no other cars around, and having like a wee drift competition, which would be sick. So I'm trying to encourage a bunch of people to get these for themselves. That is it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to leave a comment below if you have any suggestions on modifications that we should do to this beautiful thing. Next up, Fivo. We're chucking a new clutch in it. I'm friggin' stoked. I'm daily driving that thing at the moment and it's just such an amazing car, but it really needs a new clutch so that I can absolutely thrash the balls off it and we can take it for some hill runs with the S13. Stoked as. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button. Of course, subscribe to the channel and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers, guys. You. Peace. Bye.